أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله تعالى على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. Picking up with the legendary stories of the prophets عليهم الصلاة والسلام, Prophet Yusuf عليه الصلاة والسلام. We arriving on page number 162. And this is once completing several videos, including videos on Prophet Adam alayhi salatu wassalam, Nuh, Prophet Lut alayhi salatu wassalam, Salih, Ibrahim, Ishaq, and as well as Ismail, Ishaq and Yaqub, excuse me. We've also discussed in other videos the legendary legacy uh, of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam's military career. And now we're picking up in what happened on the front of Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam. And we had discussed what took place when the cup was discovered in the bag of Yusuf's brother Benjamin. And what happened is that, meaning that Yusuf alayhi salatu wasalam, began to search in their bags before the bag of his brother. Then he brought it out of his brother's bag, meaning the cup. This did we plan for Joseph. We could not take his brother by the law of the king as a slave, except that Allah willed it. So Allah Jalla Jalaluhu made the brothers to bind themselves with their way of punishment, meaning enslavement of a thief. We raise to degrees whom we please, but over all those endowed with knowledge is the all-knowing Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, meaning no one is above Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in knowledge. They, Joseph's brothers, said, if he steals, there was a brother of his, meaning Joseph, who did steal before him. But these things did Joseph keep in himself, revealing not these secrets to them. He said within himself, you are in worst case, and Allah Jalla Jalaluhu knows best the truth of what you assert. End quotes. They said, O ruler of the land, verily, he has an old father, who will grieve for him. So take one of us in his place. Indeed, we think that you are one of the good doers. He said, Allah forbid that we should take anyone but him, with whom we found our property. Indeed, if we did so, we shall be zalimun, wrongdoers. So when they despaired of him, they held a conference in private, meaning the brothers. The eldest one amongst them said, know you not that your father did take an oath from you in Allah Jalla Jalaluhu's name? And before this you did fail in your duty with Joseph. Therefore I will not leave this land until my father permits me, or Allah Jalla Jalaluhu decides my case by releasing Benjamin, and he is the best of judges. End quote. The brothers left enough provisions behind for Judah, who stayed at the tavern awaiting the fate of Benjamin. The tavern. In the meantime, Joseph kept Benjamin in his house as his personal guest and told him how he had devised the plot to put the king's cup in his bag in order to keep him behind psychologically military intelligence so as to protect him. He was also glad that Judah had stayed behind. As he was a good-hearted brother, Joseph secretly arranged to watch over Judah's well-being. Interesting. Joseph's plan in sending the others back was to test their sincerity to see if they would come back for the two brothers they had left behind. When they arrived home, they entered upon their father, calling, O father, your son has stolen. He was puzzled. He was puzzled, scarcely believing the news. He was overwhelmed with sorrow, and his eyes wept tears. Patience be with me. Perhaps Allah will return all of them to me. He is most knowing, most wise. End quote. A pall of lonesomeness closed over him, yet he found consolation in patience and trusting in Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Allah revealed to us what happened at their meeting with their father. Judah said, open quote, return to your father and say, O our father, verily your son Benjamin has stolen, and we testify not except according to what we know, and we could not know the unseen. And ask the people of the town which we have been, and the caravan in which we returned, and indeed we are telling the truth. End quote. He, Jacob, said, and I quote, nay, but your own selves have beguiled you into something. So patience is most fitting for me. Maybe Allah Jalla Jalaluhu will bring them all back to me. Truly, He is Allah, all-knowing, all-wise. And he turned away from them and said, Alas, my grief for Joseph. And he lost his sight because of the sorrow that he was suppressing. The father was deeply hurt. Only prayer could comfort him and strengthen his faith and patience. Weeping all those years for his beloved son Joseph, and now one more of his best sons had been snatched from him. Jacob almost lost his sight. Other sons pledged with him, O father, and I quote, you are a noble prophet and a great messenger of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu. Unto you he descended revelation, and people receive guidance and faith from you. Why are you destroying yourself in this way? End quote. Jacob replied, and I quote, rebuking me will not lessen my grief. Only the return of my sons will comfort me. My sons go in search of Joseph and his brother. Do not despair of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu's mercy. Allah Almighty told us, and I quote, they said, by Allah, you will never cease remembering Joseph until you become weak with old age, or until you be of the dead. And this is all in Surah Yusuf. We're on to the ayahs number 81 through 84. He said, and I quote, I only complain of my grief and sorrow to Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, and I know from Allah that which you know not. O my sons, go you and inquire about Joseph and his brother, and never give up hope of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu's mercy. Certainly no one despairs of Allah Jalla Jalaluhu's mercy except the people who disbelieve. The caravan set out for Egypt. The brothers on their way to see the chief minister Joseph were poor and depressed. On reaching Egypt, they collected Judah and called on Joseph, to whom they pleaded, O ruler, and I quote, O ruler of the land, a hard time has hit us and our family, and we have brought but poor capital. So pay us full measure and be charitable to us. Truly Allah Jalla Jalaluhu does reward the charitables. At the end they begged Joseph. They asked alms of him, appealing to his heart, reminding him that Allah Jalla Jalaluhu rewards almsgivers. At this moment, in the midst of their plight, Joseph spoke to them in their native tongue, saying, and I quote, "Do you know what you did with Joseph and his brother when you were ignorant?" End quote. They said, "Are you indeed Joseph?" He said, "I am Joseph, and this is my brother Benjamin. Allah Jalla Jalaluhu has indeed been gracious to us. Verily, he who fears Allah Jalla Jalaluhu with obedience to him by abstaining from sins and evil deeds, and by performing righteous deeds, and is patient, then surely Allah Jalla Jalaluhu makes not the reward of the righteous doers to be a loss." They said, and I quote, by Allah Jalla Jalaluhu, indeed Allah has preferred you above us, and we certainly have been sinners. End quote. The brothers began to tremble with fear, but Joseph comforted them, saying, and I quote, "No reproach on you this day. May Allah forgive you, Jalla Jalaluhu. And He is the most merciful of those who show mercy." End quote. Joseph embraced them, and together they wept with joy. It was not possible for Joseph to leave his responsible office without proper replacement. So he advised his brothers, and I quote, "Go with this shirt of mine and cast it over the face of my father. He will become clear-sighted and bring to me all of your family." And so the caravan headed back for Palestine. We leave the scene in Egypt and return to Palestine. In the house of Jacob, the old man is sitting in the room. Tears have been flowing down his cheeks. He stands up all of a sudden, dresses, and goes out to his son's wives. Then he lifts up his face to the heaven and sniffs the air. The wife of the eldest son remarked, "Jacob," and I quote, "Jacob has come out of his room today." End quote. The woman inquired about what was amiss. There was a hint of a smile on his face. The others asked him, open quote, "How do you feel today?" He answered, and I quote, "I can smell Joseph in the air." Inshallah, we will stop here on page number 167. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك وتبارك اسم ربك وتعالى جدك ولا إله غيرك ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.